Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Paige. I read a lot of books. I like to talk about them online. That's what we do here. Today I'm going to be doing my July wrap-up. How are we in August already? I don't know. Kind of a bittersweet month because it's August and it's late in the year and summer's almost over and that's scary. But also it's basically folklore month, isn't it, with, you know, August, and it's one of the best songs on that album, so I'm happy that we're in August and I get to listen to August in August, you know, it's all... On to the books. I read 7 books in the month of July. Quite a step down when you look at how many books I read last month. Not the best I've ever done, but you know, I was in a slump. I'm not gonna be too hard on myself about it, otherwise this won't be fun. And it needs to keep being fun. Definitely a lot of mixed reviews this month. I had some things I hated and I had some new favourites. All in all, I completed 5 books and DNF'd 2. And I will admit, the majority of the books in this video you will have already seen if you've watched my reading rush vlogs. I'm sorry, but if I don't include them, then it's not a true wrap-up, is it? The book that I technically started the month off with is House of Salt and Sorrow. This is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, but it's dark and eerie and it is fantastic. This was a 5-star read. The reason I say it was technically my first is because I picked up other books and DNF'd them within like 10 pages. I didn't expect this to be the book to pull me out of it, but I loved this. It had such a cute romance element that I honestly did not see coming, and it was just an adorable romance. I was really rooting for it. Also, this setting is one of my favourite settings I've ever read, and I cannot wait to reread this in the month of October because it's going to be even better. It was just a mystery that I could not work out. No matter how hard I tried, no matter what predictions I made, I was wrong every time. This just, oh, it's magical and it's eerie and it's creepy and it's so good. Oh my god, I want to reread this already. It's been less than a month since I read it and I'm already like contemplating rereading it in August. If I am saying anything about this book, I will say it would have been way better to read in autumn or winter, you know, one of the darker months. Reading it in July, it didn't give me the overall experience that reading this in a dreary, dark month would have given me. But 5-star read, full proper review is over on my Goodreads. I'm obsessed with this. The next book I read, I DNF'd and I gave it 2 stars, and it's really controversial, and that is The Song of Achilles. I'm sorry, I know so many people love this book, and I guess I can't really say that I love reading mythology when I hate both of Madeleine Miller's work, but this just wasn't good. It was definitely better than Circe. I enjoyed it way more than Circe, and this had a plot and it was easier to follow. However, I think something I've learnt about my reading of Madeleine Miller is that I like my mythology books to be a little bit more creative. I feel like Madeleine Miller's works are just regurgitations of Homer in clearer form, which is good because Homer is quite inaccessible, so you know, it's handy in that sense, but I think just in terms for me to like it, I need there to be some kind of other element, like a magical element, or it being brought into the 21st century like Rick Riordan does, or you know, I think I need a story based on mythology rather than just reading pure mythology, if that makes sense. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of this. The Song of Achilles follows the story of Achilles and Patroclus and their relationship, basically. Basically, this follows their story throughout the Trojan War, and I just found the narrative in this to be a bit disjointed at times. I found Patroclus would often say things like, and then I understood, but what he understood is never explained. It's as if you're expected to already know the story, and it's like, and then I understood. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I didn't know what he understood. I didn't get it, so I think I missed out on a lot of the plot here just because things weren't explained. Whilst we are on books that I DNF'd, we may as well talk about Time of Our Lives. So this follows Fitz and Juniper, and they are both on the same college tour, except Juniper is obsessed with all the colleges. She cannot wait to get away from her family, and Fitz is going through a lot at home, and so he is going on this tour just to please his mum, but he knows he's going to the local college. He has absolutely no interest in any of the colleges. These two are brought together on this college tour, and that's basically as far as I got. I DNF'd this really quite soon in. I just didn't relate to any of the characters. I didn't find them interesting. I found them a bit unbelievable, and overall I found the writing style of this to be quite pretentious. There was just something about this that I really wasn't enjoying, and the reading rush was about to start, so I just decided that it wasn't worth finishing. I was upset because I really wanted to like it, especially because it's like college setting. You know, I want more university age characters in university settings, but this just didn't do it for me. Something about Fitz and Juniper did not click with me. Okay, so the next books that I'm going to talk about are my reading rush books. So if you want, you know, just a quick wrap up of my reading rush, then continue watching. If you want the more in-depth stuff, or you've already seen my vlogs, maybe the rest of this video isn't for you, I don't know. I started the reading rush with Tweet Cute by Emma Lord, another 2-star read here. Did not like this particularly. I think the main issues I had with this was that there was one character who was just used as a scapegoat, and our main characters didn't really engage with a lot of the problems they were having. So the character that was used as a scapegoat would do something really horrible to them that would, you know, like almost break them up or whatever. Neither of them got mad. This basically follows 2 grilled cheese stores, and one's like a little family business, one's a huge corporate chain, and they get into a Twitter feud. And lo and behold, who is behind the Twitter feud? The boy and the girl who formed the romance. I just didn't really feel like they should have been together. I found it to be predictable. I predicted the twist at the end really early, and it just wasn't fun. I picked this up because I really thought it would be cute and fun, but it didn't really do it for me. There were elements that I liked. I did get to read it in one sitting, so you know, it was an easy read. I just didn't like it. I feel like that's just the running theme with a lot of these books this month. I think maybe just because I was in a slump, a lot of these just weren't enough to pull me in. The next book that I read during the reading rush is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I gave this a 3-star, and if you've seen my vlog, you know why that's really disappointing. I predicted this would be a 5-star. I wanted to love this so much. I wanted it to be 5 stars. I predicted it to be 5 stars, and I was really rooting for it. Just has a lot of letdowns. This is basically set at Yale University, and it's about the secret societies, and it's this kind of magical realism ghost story about how the secret societies at Yale are using magic, and this magic can sometimes cause the death of lay people. And so there's an organising body to try and hold them accountable for this, and our main character Alex is recruited into that governing body, and it's about her solving this like crime magical mystery thing that's going on. The way I just described that is kind of what's wrong with this book. There's just too much going on with it. It's really complicated. It does all wrap up nicely. I just think that there were way too many elements to the mystery, and it was confusing. I really was rooting for this because I thought the Yale setting would be everything I wanted it to be, with how much I love university age students and settings, and my Rory Gilmore loving self was like, yay! The one thing I said in my vlogs that I stand by is that this book is incredibly well written, and if you like crime mystery sort of things and ghost stories, then I definitely think you should check this out because it's so well written. It does wrap up nicely, you don't feel disappointed with the ending, and it's certainly not predictable. This just wasn't my personal cup of tea, which is why I gave it 3 stars and not something much lower. I just don't think the crime mystery aspect was really for me. I think I was drawn in by the setting and the magical realism elements, so I kind of wanted it to focus on that rather than the other stuff. I'm very disappointed, I'm very sad. I don't want to talk about it anymore because this is the heartbreak of the year. The next book that I read this month was Verona Comic. This was infinitely better than Tweet Cute. I ended up giving this a 3 or a 4 stars. I can't quite remember. This book is very similar to Tweet Cute in that this is about rival comic book stores. One is this big mega corporate comic book store, one is this little indie family owned comic book store, and the children of the owners meet at this kind of convention, and you know, they start hanging out. A relationship starts to form. There are certain people that don't like it, and obviously it has implications because of the business side of it. This is so much better. This has LGBTQ+ elements as well as mental health representation, and both are handled fantastically. I have not read a book yet that has handled these two things together and well. So I think just for that alone, this deserves a higher rating than Tweet Cute. But also just the plot of this is just better. The relationship dynamic is better. I actually wanted these characters to get together and understood why they were good for each other. So it is absolutely insane to see how 2 books with exactly the same idea can end up being so wildly different, and how one can be so much better than the other. So yeah, I would actually recommend this one. give this a try. I flew through it. It's still not my favourite book I've ever read, but you know, I will pick this one up again if I am in the mood for something like this. And again, I was just really pleased with the representation in this. And so, the 7th and final book that I read this month was A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. This was, again, such a disappointment. Another 3-star read that I expected to be a 5. I don't know why so many books have been letting me down this month. Honestly, I think it's the slump, and I do think that I will try this out again when I'm in the mood for it and when I'm out of my reading slump, because I do want to give this another chance. This book is a high fantasy based on African folklore, and it's a dual perspective that follows one character who is an outsider who winds up in some trouble with a god, and in order to get out of that trouble he needs to assassinate the next in line for the throne. And then our second perspective is the princess who is next in line for the throne. If you like Throne of Glass, then I think this is probably worth giving a try, because it has this like champion competition element in a court setting that is very similar to that. The main issue that I had with this book was the world building. It just wasn't really there for me. I understand it's a first book, so maybe this book has set itself up nicely for a lot of world building in the second book. This is going to be a duology, so maybe I can't quite judge it yet, but I just had absolutely no understanding of where I was in place and time and the relevance of everything that was going on. You just get dropped in, and I'm okay with being dropped in, but there was never any explanation about anything. I also felt that this book focused a lot on the relationship dynamics, and a lot of like soul searching was done in this book, which again I don't mind, but in a book where there's a huge magic element and a very different world to the one that we live in, I would have liked to have seen more world building and a more developed magic system. It didn't really seem like it was dealt with or explained in any kind of way. You know, it didn't have those elements of a fantasy novel. It was really disappointing. However, this is a debut novel. Obviously, the more you write and the more you publish, the better you're gonna get. City of Bones was not exactly the best book ever written when it came out, and now Cassandra Clare's writing is phenomenal. So, I do think I might be interested in picking up the sequel to this, just to see if the issues that I found with this book are solved in the next one, and if they're not, then I can just DNF it. I was just really sad for this. I really wanted to like it. None of it made sense! Here are the 7 books that I read in the month of July. It wasn't my best reading month. I am going to continue striving to do better. I'm especially upset because most of the books that I read this month I didn't really like. They were all meh or bad, other than House of Salt and Sorrow. Onwards and upwards, I guess. In fact, actually, if you guys know of any other books that are similar to House of Salt and Sorrow, maybe standalone or just eerie, or if you've read House of Salt and Sorrow, you know it's like a vibe entirely of its own class. So if you know of any books that are kind of similar to that, please leave them down below. I would be interested in checking them out. Also, if you haven't already, do like and subscribe. I upload every Wednesday and Friday, so there is no shortage of bookish content here on this channel, and it would really mean a lot if you'd stick around and have a chat. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you all had a good July reading month, and if you didn't, then we can all get better together in August, and hopefully August comes through with some good reads. Oh hey, good reads. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!